let's turn our attention over to Leah Messer from Teen Mom Next Chapter, shall we? With the show dropping a new season tomorrow, January 30th, they are doing a promo run, which is why I've gotten a lot of Teen Mom news to share with you guys lately. And in this promo run, Leah Messer has been giving an update on her dating situation. So Leah Messer was very, very famous for dipping and doing it quite a lot in her youth, right? She's like a hopeless romantic, kind of like a Charlotte from Sex and the City, right? Always looking for her match, never really working out, moving a little bit too quickly, that sort of thing. And so I think that she has really, truly learned her lesson ever since her latest or her last relationship sort of imploded. And that was a relationship that she had with Jalen Mobley. So Jalen Mobley was an Ivy educated, was he an engineer or a scientist or something like that? He worked with NASA and he came into her life, tried to play Mr. Dad to her children. And he got engaged to Leah within months of dating her. And then he cheated on her. And they bought a house together, but it was in his name, but with Leah's money because Leah has a lot of extreme tax problems. In fact, her tax debt is about to near $1 million. She's at $700K. But if she keeps this up by 2026 or 2027, she's going to hit $1 million of tax debt, right? So in order to avoid Uncle Sam, she gave Jalen the money so that they could buy the house exclusively in his name, thinking that she would always be with him. He took that money, they bought the house, and he cheats on her. Apparently, he cheated on her with potentially a man or someone that would elicit a lot of scandal. And so he decided to kind of blackmail her with the house, saying, listen, either you keep your mouth shut, you never share the story about who I cheated on you with, or I'm going to take this house, kick you and your children out, and enjoy it for my damn self, right? So I do think that that was something that was very, very traumatic for Leah. And do y'all remember the way they were doing those photo shoots every 5 minutes at his behest? Like, that man was very, very, very clearly there for fame from the very beginning. And I hate that he did that to her, like a naive, young, single mom. Like, it was really, really not cool what he did to her, right? So that has traumatized her. And for the first time, like ever, Leah has stayed single for more than a couple of months. So kudos to her for being, quote, single as a Pringle. Now, when it comes to her relationship with her second baby daddy, Jeremy Calvert, things are not going too well. And this shouldn't really come as a surprise to you guys. How many of y'all watched the last season of Teen Mom Next Chapter? Let me know in the chat, okay? Real quick, let me go back to Theo answering my last question. I'm pretty sure Peacock and ID. Okay, they're different. So I'm going to go ahead and check out the ID one because I do not have access to Peacock. And I'll let you guys know if it's a little bit, better than what you guys are describing the Peacock one as being, okay? As Stephanie says, what's the longest amount of time that Leah's been single? Honestly, like, ever since she was introduced to us, she was never really single, right? She was with Corey, and that overlapped her relation. Well, she and Robbie broke up, and she immediately got with Corey. They immediately got pregnant. She cheated with Robbie. Then she went to Jeremy. Then she cheated with Robbie again. Then she wound up with a guy named TR Dews. Then she met, I think this random older man. Do y'all remember that older man? He was like a fever dream. Do y'all remember that random older man? And he was always just wearing scrubs. He was a nurse or something. And he was always wearing scrubs. And I think she moved the girls in with him too. She moved the girls in with everybody. There was Jeremy, there was TR Dews, there was this random older man. I think his name is Jason. Then there was this guy, Jalen. So 4 different guys that these little girls have lived with. And there was this one scene that really creeped out Teen Mom viewers. It was when the girls were talking about who is his favorite. One of them said that she was his favorite, and they were like 6 years old at the time because she looked most like the mom. Very weird stuff going on there, right? So anyway, what was I talking about? So yeah, she's always had somebody to answer your question, Stephanie. And so this is the first time since like we've known her that she has been single for like more than a couple of months. And now it's been about 2 years that she has at least publicly been single, or at least not been living or having her kids living with a random man. So kudos to her on that, although I do imagine that she was in an awful lot of pain about that situation. So she and Corey, her first baby daddy, they're still doing great, but Jeremy Calvert, her second baby daddy, he got with another girl, and he decided to go ahead and storm Leah's place of work. She works at a restaurant as a waitress, and he brings his latest chick in. You better stop keeping my kids away from me, Leah, getting all up in her face. And then his new girlfriend gets up in Leah's face, and Leah's obviously shaken up because this is harassment on the job. Like, what is going on with these people, right? And so she calls the police, but Jeremy and the girl and their friend flee the restaurant before the police can arrive. And ever since that incident, they have not been cordial. In fact, Leah says, and I quote, that Jeremy and I are cordial, quote unquote, and Corey and I are also cordial. We do what's best for the kids at the end of the day. That's going to be my focus always. As long as my kids are good, we're good. If there's ever something that comes up, we kind of communicate that, and we move however is needed. But it's very obvious that her level of cordial with Corey is much different than her level of cordial with Jeremy. And for good reason. I cannot blame her. After what Jeremy did to her at work in front of her clients and whatnot, I would not be cordial with him either. And Jaleesa, I know it's insane. It's insane. And you know what? I'm going to star your comments so we can go back and talk about that at the end of this, because I got a lot to say on that. So when it comes to her, the way she communicates with Corey, it's very free. They call, they text, this sort of thing. But when it comes to Jeremy, they use an app to handle their co-parenting, because of course they're not on the level where they could speak, off the record or anything like that, because Jeremy did harass her. And didn't she file some sort of a restraining order? So I'm looking to see if any sort of information like that is going to make its way into this season of the show. Because one thing that disappointed me about the last season is how you're always able to see and find out all the details about what goes on with the kids, this, that, and the other, but never what actually goes on with the parents, right? Like, this is a big storyline. Let's stop hiding behind the children and what they've got going on, and let's talk about what's going on with you in this restraining order. And you know what? Thank you, Tadisha. People said I was hating this, that, and the other when I said this man is not seriously into Leah. But let me reiterate, y'all. You know how I knew that man was not into Leah? Because that man was an Ivy educated, he had his master's degree and whatnot. He was working at NASA and everything. I'm sorry, but on what planet is a young man with all of that going for, and he's kind of decent looking. He's not my type, but he's not ugly. On what planet is he going to go for Leah Messer of all the available unattached single young women? Leah is a beautiful girl, but she's got a lot going on in her life, right? She's got the 2 baby daddies, one of whom she's got a lot of beef with. She's not, no offense to Leah, again, she's a very nice girl, but she is functionally illiterate. She's got a lot going on, having 2 young kids and everything that comes with that. There's no way that someone with Jalen's profile would genuinely, in my opinion, have been interested. And especially if he were authentically into Leah, he would not be arranging all of these random, like, weird ass photo shoots every other week. It was very obvious from the beginning that this man just wanted to be on television. I cannot imagine, and I'm saying this because, I've got Black brothers as well, right? I cannot imagine my Black mom. Okay, hang on, let me take my water. My Black mom and my Black dad working hard, and both of my brothers are engineers as well. They would not accept that their Black sons worked really, really hard, became engineers, made a lot of money just to marry someone in this situation. They would not be okay with it, and they would not be supportive of it. It's not a race thing or anything like that. It's just, you got to find someone who at least has some level of education or something. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that his family, I know his sister was really nice to her and everything like that, but maybe the sister wanted to be on TV too. Like, sorry, not sorry, but that's just what I saw from the very, very beginning. So I don't know. Maybe some of you guys saw it too, especially if you're Black as well. I don't know. I saw through it from the beginning. And thank you, Ashley. That guy's name was Jason. He reminded me of, what is that thing? What is that thing? There was that like show, and it was based on a real story of that guy who would always wear scrubs. He gets with this very successful woman, and it turns out he claims he was a doctor, but it turns out he wasn't actually a doctor. That's what that Jason guy that she was living with for a little bit reminded me of. Like, there was something so shifty about him. Listen, I can't hate on Leah too much. She, like me, has a very, very broken picker. I think she's an authentic person. I think she's a nice person, despite her cheating problem. But I think she's got a really, really broken picker. And I wish that she would kind of take a little bit more time to assess the situations for what they are before jumping in head first, especially when she's got all those kids. Girl, you got to stop moving your kids in with every random man. And, mind you, she moved these kids in with that Jason guy within like 4 months, with Jalen within like 3 months. Then within like 6-7 months, she and Jalen bought a house. Like, she doesn't make very good decisions, unfortunately. Okay. Now, did she have anything else to say? She talked a little bit about her children and how they are doing, handling all of these situations. Let me go ahead and take a look there. She says that Addie was definitely caught in the crossfire of her issues with Jeremy. I think it was very difficult for her to navigate at first, but just showing her some support, reaching out and getting her into counseling was beneficial. So I'm really, really happy that she has been able to recognize the needs of all of her kids individually and to do anything that she can to make sure that they are able to handle all of these in the best way possible. I want to read over you guys' comments so that we can have a little bit more of a deeper discussion here about the latest story, which is the Leah story. Okay. Let me get into what Elisa had to say earlier, which is, Grace, can you believe the teen moms are this big, all high schoolers? I have to say that seeing these kids at this age now and seeing them as these teeny tiny babies, it makes me sad for the way that their parents' lives panned out, right? Like, can you imagine these little kids that you're watching on the show right now? Can you imagine them being in a similar situation? Like, now that we've gotten older as well, we're now 15, 16, 17 years older than we were when the show started. We can finally see in hindsight just how young the moms and the dads were when they started the show. And with that being said, I feel like I was definitely quite harsh on the moms and their situations, because at the time, and I think it's because I'm a similar age to them and whatnot, and I don't have kids of my own. So like, you think you're grown and you think these girls are grown, you're like, come on, y'all, you got to make some grown decisions, blah, blah. But now in my 30s, looking back, like, it is crazy what they had to deal with at their age. Like, it is just so damn sad. I'm really happy with how some of them have turned out. Others have unfortunately gone down really terrible paths in lives and everything like that. But this is what I've always said from the very beginning. A lot of where you end up in life and whatnot is dependent on how you even start out in life. Did you grow up in a home that was stable, right? Did you have loving parents? Did you have parents who screamed? Did you have parents who encouraged you? Or did they belittle you? Were you well socialized? Did you worry about money, heat, hunger, all sorts of things like that? Those play such a huge role on your development. So it's not a real surprise that people like Janelle or, like Kale or like Rachel Beaver or these other people who are kind of scandalous wound up the way that they did when you look at that, right? And then like people who come, or even Leah, and then people who come from more stable backgrounds, right? Like live a more stable life. So I think that that's the bigger message here, right? Outside of how these people individually are parenting their kids. In my opinion, it's how all of this starts from above, and even above your parents. It's all about that. So just do your very best, get to a really good place in life before having kids, because it impacts everything. All these girls made the same amount of money, but they're not all in the same place, and their upbringings and their parents and this and that and the other have a lot to do with that. So Lauren says, I don't like throwing out the term narcissist, but Jalen is for sure one. To do what he did to a single mom with 3 daughters for clout is sick. I agree. It is evil. What he did was truly evil. And I don't know how he sleeps at night. It's crazy to me that this person, serves his country and is, claims to be this good person to help people and whatnot. Come on now. And kind of savvy. Do you remember the women's clothes he used to wear? This man was wearing a Chanel, Miss Big and Tall. Jalissa says, one of my friends from high school is a hybrid Leah Kale. She just hid her 5th baby from everyone and just announced it. This is her 4th baby daddy, 5th kid. I just had to block her yesterday. Listen, you got to protect your energy from the mess. Sometimes some people are just too damn messy, and yeah, it's best to maybe stay away. I think you made the right choice, Jalisa. And thank you to Disha. It was Dirty John. Leah Messer's ex-boyfriend very much reminded me of Dirty John. Very, very, very weird vibes. Okay. I think someone else had a comment here that Stephanie says, I still want Leah and Corey back together. He was the one. Listen, it's kind of looking like Corey might soon be on the market the way he's thoughting and bopping on TikTok for attention. So maybe it's going to happen. Who knows? Who knows? Right? Y'all say he's not cute. Listen, I didn't say he was cute. I just said he wasn't like ugly. I didn't think, I wouldn't say he's ugly. I wouldn't say he's hideous or anything like that. I think he's just a normal looking guy. When you walk down the street, you see all these faces, like you only really like take a second look if someone like really catches your eye in a good way or in a bad way. And I don't think he would catch your eye at all, is what I would say about Jalen at the end of the day. Exactly, Jalisa. There's no way that any of his parents would be happy with that situation at all. Kristen says, Jalen and August have the same MO. I don't know how Leah and Janelle can't see it. Here's the thing. Some girls can see the mess or what they're settling for, but their self-esteem is so low that they're still going to go ahead and keep moving forward. That's the vibe I get from them. I think it's very, very clear that Leah and Janelle do not have the best self-image. And so they will stick with this sort of a thing. Janelle knew that August had been cheating on her for a while. She first did a series of things crying about it, got back with him, and now she's back to the same old, right? So whatever to them. Tadisha says, I feel like MTV is waiting for the kids to have children or something. I will not be disappointed or upset if they cancel it. Just wrap it up. I agree. Listen, at this point, they've been at this long enough, and they're waiting to see, maybe they've got these different hypotheses out in the background and they're waiting to see what happens now that all these kids are about the same age that their parents were when they had them, give or take 2 or 3 years or so, 1 to 3 years, right? So I do see the show going for a minimum of, and exactly, Angie, like Chelsea, most of her success comes from the family that she grew up in. She's like the least educated out of all of these. Even Leah graduated high school. Even Janelle graduated high school. But Chelsea, with all the resources she had, she still couldn't graduate high school, but she still turned out better because of her family support system. So it's really, really, really important. Now, you guys, stay tuned. Don't forget that the next season of Teen Mom Next Chapter premieres tomorrow, Thursday, January 30th on MTV. I, of course, will be going ahead and recapping it for you guys the following day. I think I'll go ahead and do another live about that. And I really, really look forward to sharing that with you.